What's up, guys? Welcome back to HOA MMA. Back again after a wild week of mixed martial arts. AJ, how you doing this week, man?
I'm good, bro. I mean, feeling a little bit shitty, been a bit unwell this week, but we move, man. We move,
Right.
and crazy weekend last week. So
Uh,
look forward to going all into all of that.
yes. We appreciate you powering through your illness to be with us today. Lots of water should help that a little bit. Man, like you said, crazy weekend. Let's get right into it. UFC 287 is officially in the books. We have the return to the throne for Israel Adesanya. We had Gilbert Burns put on a really dominant performance against Masvidal, in which Masvidal did end up retiring. The guy had a good career. Guy made a lot of money. You know, what more can you say about that guy? Um, let's get into that card, man. What fight surprised you outside of the main event?
One that surprised me the most. Well, this one it did, but at the same time it didn't.
Okay.
And it's something that a few of us in our friendship group kind of mentioned on that night. Giannis against Rob Font.
Oh yeah.
Because that fight was literally as our friend Brando said, it was literally as advertised. But if you thought that Rob Font was gonna knock him out inside the first round, crazy. But
Yeah.
it was a complete and utter just like two dudes just standing in the pocket, going toe to toe. But I didn't think that Rob Font was gonna put him away like that. Like he put him out clean.
Oh,
Clean.
that was the vintage Rob Font that people thought could show up, and he delivered 100%. Um, Big ups to Rob Font. That was an important win for him in the division too,
It was.
and that really puts him right back into contention. You know, top five spot. Looking to maybe work his way back into an Eliminators championship fight. I mean, that's an
Yeah.
important win for him. I'm glad you shouted out Rob Font. The fight that surprised me, it's not really a surprise. It's more of a welcome to the UFC moment. Was Rosas Jr. versus Rodriguez. Um, Rodriguez is only 25, so like it's not like anything. And he beat. I mean, he dominated that fight. Rosas Jr. looked like he was a little bit out of his depth. Yeah, he's still an 18-year-old kid, but when you're talking about being the youngest champion in UFC history, you got to back it up against guys who aren't even ranked in the division that you're talking about winning. I thought O'Malley had some decent advice. I understand that Rosas Jr. is probably not going to stop fighting for 2 years, but the guy has a lot of room to improve. And if you want to be the youngest champion in the world, you have to pretty much do what O'Malley said: is go out and get better and take the time to improve your skills. So I just thought that was really interesting to see him get beat like that.
I definitely do agree with that. I mean, Rose has got he basically just got to like a lesson. He came out in the first round and was just like literally straight away from about 10 feet out, literally just going for the takedowns, going for like just like he was just thinking, I'm gonna go out there, take him down, I'm going to take his back and I'm gonna choke him out. And with that he burnt himself out and
Yep.
he kind of got beat. Well, I wouldn't say beat down, but he kind of got taught like a lesson. And it was quite clear that in that fight there was someone who was 18 years of age, who's only had what 8 fights total, against
Mhm.
someone who's obviously 25, who's had a lot more MMA time out there, and it clearly showed. And to be fair, in the long run, this could be the best thing for him. This
Yeah.
could be the best thing for him because if he went out there and literally took him out in the first round, he would have fought in his next fight. He would have gone like a bigger test. And if you fought that reckless against someone who is near enough around the rankings or someone of a higher caliber, he probably could have got exposed in a much more worse way. So
Yeah.
if he obviously takes the time and obviously just learns his craft and obviously like builds upon things, it could obviously be really beneficial for him moving forward.
Yeah, it's the kind of loss that could really set your career down um, possibly a better trajectory. This could be a humbling experience. This is a get back into the gym and work your ass off experience. Um, what was your fight of the night?
Giannis against Font.
Yeah.
Even though it was just one, it was not really one round. It was like half a round. It was just all action, like literally from the word go, they were just going at it and just back and forth trading. I know that Gastelum and Chris Curtis was obviously a great fight, and it was more than obviously worthy of obviously getting like fight of the night. But like, for me personally, I got Giannis against Font because it was just blockbuster action from basically start to finish.
I'm actually going to give it to Gastelum and Curtis, in my opinion. Those guys were out there; they were throwing hands. A lot of strikes, a lot of landing. We got to see Gastelum. We got to see Gastelum gut out a win, and it was nice for him to get out there and get a win. Chris Curtis, is no slouch. His record's not fantastic, but he's a hard night out no matter what. I thought he did enough to not win the fight, but I thought he did enough to garner another name in the division. Gastelum's a tough motherfucker. And he went out there
and
he
31. That's crazy.
He's been fighting in front of the mainstream for so long now. We feel like he's probably like 36, but he's really, he's still got time. If he just didn't have those weight problems throughout his career like he did, I think it would be different. I think we would feel different about him. But that's a good win. Yeah. I thought those guys put on a show, so I gave them the nod at fight of the night. Let's get into the actual individual fights. We mentioned Rosas Jr. I don't think we need to beat that horse anymore. Our guy, Kevin Holland, goes out and puts Ponzinibbio on his face. The concept that Ponzinibbio thought that was a early stoppage clearly tells me that he was out and he doesn't remember hitting the canvas face first. That was a dangerous fall. Shout out to Kevin Holland, man. When he's on, he is dangerous.
So
tell me how you thought about our guy getting the KO victory.
It kind of went how I thought it would be because obviously Kevin is so big and so long and he's such a good striker that I just felt he was going to be a bit too clean and precise for him. Even though Santiago was doing really good with his leg kicks, which was obviously like a really good game plan. But you can kind of tell during the fight, obviously Kevin was obviously landing clean and landing the more meaningful strikes. And it was just a case of, it's kind of like, in the first round when obviously when Santiago obviously caught his leg, and Kevin just did that spinning back fist and just dropped him from literally from so far out. In the third round, Pons is obviously backing up and Kevin just catches him clean. His arms are too long, he hits too hard, catches him, drops him face plant. And to be fair, the ref came in and stopped at the right time because at that point Kevin was just going to tee off on him and he would have laid him out. So really good win. What I would like from Kevin moving forward, because I know Kevin's kind of like fan favorite guy who I'll fight anyone anywhere. I'd like him to fight Jeff Neal next.
Yeah, you want him to try that again.
Yeah, I do want him to fight Jeff Neal. Even though I know that they fought before and Kevin beat him, but that was at middleweight. I'd like to see Kevin to try and make an actual run at actually becoming a viable top 10 guy. Because I do, even though it's very wrestling heavy, I do feel like he does offer a lot, and he will be in some interesting matchups. So I kind of like that fight for him.
That's a tough fight. Wait, he beat Jeff Neal.
Yeah, he literally knocked him out.
Okay, yeah, you want it. Okay, so you think Jeff Neal's in a better spot? You think Holland's in a better spot? You would like to see them run it back for that reason. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I'm a Jeff Neal supporter. I'm obviously a Kevin Holland supporter. Um, do you think Kevin Holland could get a? Do you think that's the only guy in the top 10 that he could get?
It's just at the moment, it's pretty much like 170 is kind of, well, within the top five, it's kind of a bit, kind of like in a bit of a mess right now because you obviously got
Yeah.
Colby against basically Leon. We got what we imagined to be Shafkat against obviously no Shafkat against Bilal.
Mm-hmm.
You do have Sean Brady who's coming off a loss, but the only thing with that fight is I feel like because Sean Brady is such a good wrestler, that could be a bit of an issue for him. Whereas if he plays against Jeff Neal, that's pretty much going to be a straight up kickboxing fight. There are other people. I did actually like if Jorge didn't obviously hang up his gloves, that fight could have been a really good one as well.
Yeah, that could have sold tickets for sure.
Yeah.
What's Vicente Luque doing right now?
I think they're looking at Jack Madalena.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm all for getting Holland a top 10 guy. It looks like Neal doesn't have much to do. Like you said, Sean Brady would probably be a tough one. I'm into it. Definitely would like to see Holland get back in there as soon as he can. Next was we talked about Font versus Yanez already. Burns versus Jorge. Burns made a comment after that fight about his title shot and him wanting a title shot. Might be a little bit of a language barrier there, but he said if he doesn't get a title shot, he might be done with the UFC. I just think he's got to do one more fight before you can give it to him. But I do think he could beat Leon if it got to it. I like his chances against Leon better than I did when Usman was on top. For me, how do you feel about a Burns versus Leon fight?
He definitely has an advantage in the grappling. The only thing is that would he be able to take Leon down?
Mm-hmm.
That's my only thing because if it plays out on the feet, I have Leon winning it fairly easily. Even though Burns is obviously dangerous because as we all know, he can crack. Like he has power in those hands of his. The only worry I would have for him is that I don't think he'll be able to take Leon down to actually utilize his actual BJJ.
Yeah.
So, but I do agree with you as well. In my opinion, he definitely needs to have one more fight. I probably would say fight the winner of Shafkat against Bilal if that fight does happen. That's probably the fight that would make the most sense.
That's a big time fight. All right, let's get into the main event. Obviously, your guy Israel Adesanya pulls out the knockout victory. Him and Pereira, they could fight forever. It seems like. Really big win for Izzy. Really a big time victory. Tell me how you fought or how you thought that how you felt. And tell me what happens next with Israel Adesanya.
Well, first of all, I felt like I probably legit woke up my house when that happened. I was in absolute shock. It is easily Izzy's greatest moment, period, so far. Yes. Easily. I still can't believe it that it actually happened. I know I said last week. I said fuck it, third round KO. But I was obviously terrified because obviously Potan is just an absolute animal, just a wrecking machine. But to knock him out cold in the second round is nothing short of unfucking believable.
Yeah,
and I think it's quite great in like how it happened because I think it obviously kind of like reminded everyone why Izzy is so great because think about it. He's getting chewed up on his leg. He's backed up against the fence. The last time that happened against him, he obviously lost the fight, and he obviously got finishing that fight.
Yeah.
Pereira was winging and teeing off on him, and Izzy in, and obviously Israel has the high guard up, and he's looking. He's like, you know what? All I need is one shot,
Yeah.
and it's a risk, because if he misses at that close and they're literally in the pocket, one left hand, and he's going to get laid out again. And he lands the right hand, the same right hand in the first round of their last fight that literally rocked him. And this time he put him away.
Put him down.
And it was a elite counter strike. Like, and that's the reason why people love Izzy so much, because he's such an elite counter striker. And you put him out cold, like he was sleeping.
Oh yeah, it was one of the best, if not the best, counter punch KO in UFC history, probably.
Yeah.
The best part about that was the way he set it up. He reached out and touched him with the left to get his face open, and he came back across with the counter and just dropped him. I just wonder if, like, did Pereira get too comfortable with what he was doing, and he just let himself go for a second where he just wasn't ready, because he had him. Like, if we're gonna say it, obviously we know now officially he's moving up to 205, so it doesn't really matter now. He was winning that fight, and he had him in that corner, and I think he just got too comfortable with putting damage on Izzy that he wasn't worried enough about getting bit, and he got bit in a way that would put down a horse. Like, that punch is knocking out a horse. Like, it was insane. Like I said, one of the best, if not the best, counter punch KO I've ever seen. It felt like we were reading Ippo, and Miata came across and hit him with the perfect counter. Like, it just textbook stuff. And then we got one of what is going to end up probably being the most iconic celebration we've seen in a long time. The 3 arrows into the chest of the hunter. He put the boogeyman down finally. Would you be interested in one more chapter with these guys, potentially at 205?
Yes, it has to be at 205, and it has to be for the belt.
Okay. I would also want to watch them go one more time. I think at 205. But I think at 205, like, all of your worries amplify even more, because Pereira's got even more weight, and Izzy doesn't fill out to 205, or we didn't see him fill out to 205. The only evidence we have is he didn't even fill out the 205. I think that could be potentially dangerous again, but I would love to see it one more time. But that's got to be the last time. One more time, and that's got to be the last time. Izzy, where do you think he's going next? Because we've seen all the Duplessis conversations. We're dragging people across Africa. We're opening our nasal cavity so we can actually breathe in the octagon. Is Izzy New Zealand? Is he Africa? Is Duplessis the white African king? Because this is how he's acting. It's a bunch of back and forth, and it's actually garnering interest, I believe, in the UFC or the fight community, because I'm not a Duplessis guy, but he's not backing down from the war of words, and I like that a lot. Obviously, I think Izzy dog walks him, but you still got to fight it. So, do you think that manifests and happens? Because it's all the heat's only getting turned up when they go back and forth like this.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have a challenger right now. He really doesn't. So if they move him up, I don't know.
Yeah, because at the moment, Izzy has cleaned out 185. Like, if you look at literally contenders from ranked 1 to 5, he's beaten them all. Robin Vittori twice even, and Duplessis 6. So he is the highest available contender who Izzy hasn't fought yet. Duplessis hasn't. If you're looking on merit, he hasn't done anything to obviously warrant like that fight yet. Beating beating up a very washed Johnson and an even more washed Darren Till the last 2 fights doesn't really move me personally for that. So I feel like on that front, he's probably a win or two away from that.
But here's the problem with that is he can't beat Robert. He
oh
can't
no.
beat. So my thing is, if you're going to do it, you've got to jump him. Like, you've got to have him jump him now while they're hot. So that's like the only problem is, like, you can't book him for another fight in the top 5 because I don't know if he beats anybody, and you got to make the money while you can. So do you think he just jumps them and gets into it right away? Because that's the only way you make the money, in my opinion.
I kind of feel like for now they're probably going to put Izzy on ice. I know Izzy likes to fight 3 times twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like what they're probably going to do and what they're hoping is that, you know, we all kind of have an idea that probably in October we're going to get Hamza against Paulo Costa. I feel like if most people think obviously Hamza will probably win that fight. Mm-hmm. If he wins, I feel like they'll just give him a title shot because you've got literally Izzy, who is literally like one of the biggest stars, and Hamza, who's one of the most rising stars and prospects out there. Like I feel like with them, like they will probably make the fight if obviously Hamza does beat Costa. And I just want to touch about the whole like Africa thing between Du Plessis and basically Izzy as well. The only thing about making that fight, that's going to get ugly. Yeah. Period. That's going to get real ugly just from a, like, not really from a sense of a political point of view, just from a pure like racial point of view. That's going to get ugly real quick, real quick. But obviously, saying that anyway, Du Plessis probably does the last 2 rounds currently. Like it will probably be like Costa against Izzy, but even
without the wine.
Without the wine. Secret juice now.
Hey, I gotta see him fight Izzy with the juice. I don't know. It could be different.
Exactly.
I think Du Plessis versus Izzy is something that you could put on, and it's gonna sell because people like the tension, and I don't think you're really in jeopardy of Izzy losing. So you still save the winner of Costa versus Hazmat for the you still have that fight because I don't think Izzy loses to Du Plessis at this point. So like we mentioned before, Pereira moves up to 205. Where does he start at 205? Who's he start with?
He needs to fight a top 5 guy, at least, because currently right now at that weight, I feel like you can't have anyone fight for the belt next over obviously over Yuri, unless he's still hurt. If he's still injured, still trying to recover, then cool, I get that. The fight that would make a lot of sense would probably be Rakic, because obviously Rakic is coming back. Like he's had obviously like a very long layoff. He's obviously a very legit guy, and also he's also pretty much like a kickboxer, and that is Alex. So I can kind of like see them making that kind of fight. If he beats him, then in his next fight he can fight Jamal. If obviously for some reason Yuri is obviously still hurt and out, then I can see them giving Alex like a title shot. But those 2 scenarios are the ones most likely that I could see.
We need an update from Yuri, obviously, to really know what's going to happen. But Alex getting that title shot against Hill would be, those guys on the feet would be pretty electric right off the bat. And then I like your idea of Rakic because that's a guy I think that's not going to worry about taking down Pereira, and that really helps. So I like both of those ideas because it's going to be a stand-up exchange, and he doesn't have to worry about the ground game as much.
If I'm anyone who is in Alice's corner, stay away from Ankalaev for as long as you can.
God.
As long as you can, stay away from that man for as long as you can.
If his name's in any email you receive, just delete it. and act like you didn't
What?
because
But,
he's gonna maul you. It's just a
yeah.
terrible matchup. Something we were talking about recently. Now that Izzy's cemented himself back out on the throne, we're going to get into our top 5 185 pounders of all time. Um, I will let you start with your list. I'm assuming our names are all going to be similar, but the order might be a little bit different. So go ahead and give me your top 5, starting with 5.
5, I've got the Reaper. I do have Rob up there. You know, all round great everywhere. Wins against obviously Bronson, Jacare back when obviously Jacare was scary as hell. He fought against Yarrow twice, which obviously is no easy night at all. Obviously, and apart from probably Izzy at middleweight, he's looked exceptional in every fight he's in. Like, he's really, really amazing. And personally, the only reason why I don't have him higher is because the people above him, I feel like, have just have a few more accolades, like more than him.
Yeah. Okay, so then who do you have at 4? Then I'm interested to see where you got.
I've got Michael Bisping.
What's Bisping done better than Whitaker? Besides longevity.
Look, do you know what? That is honestly literally it. He has obviously at least he has at least the belt. He also has the most wins at that weight, which obviously for me goes like a really, really huge way. And just like his whole body of work overall, I think he's one of 7 people who have at least 20 wins, and he's also fought quite decent opposition. I wouldn't say as good as Rob, but for like as it is right now, his accolades and accomplishments just give him just a slight edge. Whereas I think in probably like 2 years' time, I'll have Rob probably above him.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, who you got at 3 then?
I've got Weidman.
Yeah.
I feel like people. Yeah, I feel like people just kind of like remember Weidman just getting like beat up on, like recently. But when it was coming up, people saw him as the guy who was going to be Anderson, and he did. And in his prime, at his absolute peak, he was good. Like he was really fucking good. Number 2 is Izzy. I feel like I don't really need to go into why. Just an absolute legend now at this point. And the only person above him is Anderson. Yeah.
I obviously we understand Anderson won. Still, Izzy has a little more work to do, but projecting forward, Izzy's probably going to end up the GOAT of the division. He's got a couple more bangers in there, and he could pass up Anderson. At 5 for me, I had Bisping. At 4, I had Weidman. At 3, I did have Robert.
Wow.
The reason I switched that was Weidman did get the wins over Anderson. I don't know. I think Robert would beat Weidman at his peak.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I gave him the nod, along with the 2 wars against Yoel Romero when Yoel was the most dangerous man in the division. I think he fought the best version of Yoel and beat him. And I just like Bisping has the longevity, but I think I love Bisping, but I think he just happened to catch Luke Rockhold on the right night.
Oh.
I mean, I just think he caught him on the right night.
All it takes is one, though. All it takes is one.
It does only take one, but I think Rockhold was better than him for a majority of the time. But Bisping won the title, so he's there. And then Izzy's at 2 still, and Anderson is at 1. I believe with my whole heart that Izzy will be the greatest 185 pounder there ever was. But we got some work to do still. So that's my 185 also. We have the same names. We just got them in a different order. We're pretty close. That takes us into next week, or this weekend. The fight night, UFC fight night. Your two guys actually are headlining the fight. Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway, in a really massive fight. I'm excited. Tell me a little bit about that fight for you. What do you think?
I'm torn because on one hand, obviously Arnold Allen is obviously from these shores, from when I'm from, and I've been a big fan of him for like a while now. But I'm also just happy that he's finally getting a big fight because he's been on a really long win streak of like 10 wins, and he just hasn't, like, whether it's like, injuries or his opponents pulling out. He isn't really the biggest talker. He doesn't really, like, I feel like he's kind of been underrated a little bit. So I'm really glad he's getting this chance. But Max Holloway is probably currently, in terms of active fighters, he's in my top 4 fighters to watch. Like, he's just amazing to watch, and I'm a huge fan of his. So I'm kind of torn, but this fight is going to be a good fight because we all know the last time Max Holloway lost against, obviously, Volk in his next fight, he put an absolute biblical beating on Calvin Kattar.
Yes, he
period.
Did.
And he fought well against, obviously, Yair, who's obviously the current interim champion, who obviously Max beat, by the way. You know, so it's kind of like. And obviously for Arnold Allen, he's finally getting his chance. And in most times, if you find Max Holloway, you're 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be fighting for the belt, and this time you're not. And if you think about it, if he wins this fight, he's probably going to be next up after, obviously, Yair against Volk. But at the same time, you're asking for a huge ask to beat Max Holloway. Huge ask to beat Max Holloway. And if we're looking in terms of matchups, this is going to be a very interesting stylistic matchup, and it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. Like, and this is for a fight night.
It's crazy. This could be a co-main event on a pay-per-view, any pay-per-view.
Easily.
Let's see. Who do you have winning? Let's just break it down. That we'll just go top to bottom. Who do you got winning?
I've got Max winning.
Okay.
Allen is really good, and Allen, don't get me wrong, Allen at 145 looks huge, and he does have like a very well-rounded skill set, and he does hit hard. But I realized in the fight against Dan Hooker, even though he beat him up in the first round and he kind of got into like a big war with him, Dan Hooker did also catch him as well. Yeah. And we know Max lives and breathes in those fights. Like, he will go toe to toe with anyone, and we know he has a legendary chin. Could this be the night when obviously Allen just obviously crack his chin? We don't know that yet, but I'm basing on everything so far. Max is too good, and Max literally just drowns people. Mm-hmm. He drowns people. Unless you're Volk or unless you're Dustin Poirier, he will drown you. He will drown you. Like, he will. He if he needs to throw over around like 1,000 punches, he will do it. Yes. And his footwork's really good. And don't get me wrong, he can also mix up as well. He does have a solid takedown game and also like grappling game as well. But I do feel like this fight's gonna stand on the feet. And when it comes to that, I do have Max taking it because I don't really take much stock into obviously him basically losing against Volk, because as we know, Volk is one of the best guys ever. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's still Max Holloway.
Yeah.
It's still Max Holloway, and I've got Max winning probably on points, probably by unanimous decision. That being said, Allen will have like a few moments, but yeah, Max over around 5 rounds, huge ask.
I'm with you on that. Max Holloway is an all-time great, but I'm gonna go with Arnold Allen in an upset. Okay. I think it's time. It's time for the new guard, and they're really not even that much of a difference in age. It feels like Max Holloway's been, which he has been around forever, but Allen is that next wave of guy, and I think it's time for that next wave to make their mark in the division. And what better way to make your mark than beating Max Holloway? If he beats Max Holloway in a stand-up battle, that just propels you to such heights that Volk and Dustin are the only ones who've done it. They're the only ones who've been able to beat him like that. Allen has the tools to do it. It's just about putting it all together. I'm going to take Allen in an upset of Max Holloway. Next fight on the card, Edson Barboza versus Billy Q. Barboza's been around, man. He is a highlight machine. Billy is more of a, in my opinion, he's got more tools. He's good on the ground. He can get you down. Barboza doesn't really fight like that. How do you think this one shakes out with these two guys?
First of all, really, really good fight. BDQ, I do actually like him a lot. He had a good fight against Shane Bogos. I think that was last year.
Yes.
Even though, like you said, he probably does have a lot more tools. He does, when it comes to it, he's one of those ones where like he will literally stand there in the pocket and he will just throw down with you. I do feel like even though Barboza is obviously getting up there in, it's like, you know, he's obviously a lot more older now. Yes. He still has enough about him to make it fight. And to be fair, only really good people beat Barboza these days. Like, it's not just it's not just this point where like he's literally just getting like walked over and stuff. In his last 3 losses, he has lost against Bryce Mitchell, Giga, who is basically still missing. He's still missing after Calvin Chaos humbled the fuck out of him, and Danny Ige as well. So I'm probably gonna go for Barboza to, you know, still basically show that, you know, I'm still here.
I forgot Chickadees is still missing. I forgot.
He may be out from bro.
Dude, he has disappeared. I'm gonna actually go with Billy Q. He's a slight favorite in the betting odds. I wonder if he can keep from getting hit with something crazy. If he can keep himself contained and not get hit with anything wild like spinning back kick or something like that. I think he can do enough to beat Barboza. I think he can beat him on. I think he's going to try to beat him on points more than, you know, get a finish. I'm going to go with Billy Q in an upset for me, but obviously he's a slight favorite in the betting. Next fight is in the light heavyweight division. Dustin Jacoby versus Azmat Mirzakhanov. Sorry, not great with those type of names. Interesting fight. How do you feel about this fight? Dustin Jacoby, the American, coming off a loss to Roundtree. How do you feel about this one?
I have a bad feeling that Dustin's probably going. He's kind of been. I kind of feel like Dustin's kind of been put out there to kind of go and showcase Azmat skills, because I feel like in his first fight in the UFC, he got like that flying knee finish. Like he is literally explosive, and he's really
Yes.
good on the feet. And obviously, Dustin is he's been and done that. He is a veteran kickboxer because he also fought in Glory, so he's fought all around the world, and his game is mainly on the feet. I feel with that, it's been set up for obviously Asmat to have like another name and for him to obviously like build on, because he looks frightening. Like he looks really good. So I kind of feel like this fight's kind of like tailor made for him personally.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm gonna take Merk Zakhanov. I'm gonna keep trying to say it. I'm gonna take him to get the win. I think like you said, Dustin's out there to get a little bit of name recognition to go on to the next guy. He's a gatekeeper. I wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out in a cool way. Next fight, we've got Bozer versus Cutelabella. Who do you got winning that one?
It depends, because Cutelaba, if he's smart, he will literally wrestle Tanner Bozer and take him down.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. But as we all know, sometimes he just likes to get a little bit crazy, and he may just want to just go in there and throw down. And if he does, and if he does, that'll give Tanner Bozer probably a better chance to win. But I'm probably gonna say that obviously the Hulk has some common sense, and will take him down, and probably will get a first or second round submission.
I feel the exact same way. You just got to hope that he just does the wrestling and just wins the fight. Dude, we get it, but like just go in there, get the takedown. I mean, he's coming off of three losses in a row. He's got to win this fight. Like that fourth loss, you're going to be fighting on the Bellator undercard next week. Like he doesn't have a lot of time left if he doesn't win this fight. So this is a make or break it type fight for him. Get the takedown, keep him down, win the fight. I'm going with him also. Next, we've got a guy who I like a lot in Pedro Munoz versus Gutierrez.
This is a great fight.
Yeah, this is potentially fight of the night if Max and Allen don't take it away.
Yeah, and
how do you see this one getting down?
Yeah, this is one of the fights that kind of popped up to me. But first of all, side note here: how the hell is Brandon Royval and Matis Nicolau on the prelims?
There's a lot of bangers, man. Just a lot of bangers on this card.
That's insane though, because that fight, because obviously personally for me, that's probably going to be my fight of the night, because them two are just it's going to be absolutely electric. But if I'm going back to Pedro Munoz and obviously Gutierrez, Pedro Munoz in his last fight was against Sean O'Malley, right? Is that right? Was it against O'Malley?
Yes.
And obviously before the whole iPod thing, he was actually doing very, very well. And Gutierrez obviously retired Frankie Edgar, just put him out stiff. This fight is going to be a close one, but I feel Gutierrez will probably get a split decision on that one.
I'm actually right there with you. Munoz has had a rough go of it in terms of the guys he's fought. He was coming off of a loss to Aldo, loss to Cruz, and then he got the no contest to O'Malley. He's been going through it lately, and to fight a guy like Gutierrez is really tough. I'm going to give it to Gutierrez also. I think he puts him away in the first or the second round.
Really? Because obviously Munoz I don't think he's ever been knocked out before. He's hard to put away.
Saturday night's the night that he's getting put away. I'm going to bet on it. I'm going to bet on it too. Next fight, is the last one on the main card. I don't know how Clay Guida keeps sneaking on these main events or these main event cards, but Clay Guida's fighting Garcia in a match that probably could have been replaced with Royval versus Nicolau.
Should
But here we are.
It absolutely should.
It's just, Clay Guida, how many times can you go watch a guy burp before you just don't care anymore? I'm just out on Clay Guida, guys. I know he did a lot for the sport, yada yada. He's the carpenter, whatever. I'm out. I'm out on it. But go ahead, tell me how it shakes out.
Do you know what? I'm not going to use any logic here because whenever I see him fight, he loses. So
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen him. I don't know if I've ever seen Clay Guida win a fight. Actually, I don't know. I know he has wins, but I don't know if I've ever seen it.
His record is 38-19.
And I've only seen his 19 losses. I got to be honest. All right. Are you picking Clay Guida to win this?
No, Garcia, because literally, okay. Basically, this way: if I happen to wake up and around that time, and I watch and I see him on my TV, he will lose. If I wake up a little bit later and have to watch it back, he probably will win. So,
that's what I mean. Has anybody ever seen Clay Guida win? Have you seen it happen in the last 5 years? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I got Garcia winning because I'm going to watch it, so I know Garcia is going to win because I've only seen Clay Guida lose. Let's touch on Royval versus Nicolau, just because that's such a good fight. How do you got that one playing out?
It's one of those ones where I just know I'm going to enjoy the fight because obviously Royval always brings it every single time. And it's a really good matchup because obviously you got one hand. Royval is a really good grappler and he's a very sneaky grappler as well. And he's so quick, literally just like that. He can literally take your back. He can get an armbar. He's really, really good in that regard. And Nicolau is a very, very good striker, and especially he has some encounters, man. I think against Matt Snell, literally the fight was just going, and then just like that, counter right, he just put him out.
Yep.
Just like that, he's so good on the feet. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of obviously Royval, but I have a feeling that probably Nicolau's probably going to win it. I'm going to go for a third round TKO.
And I'm actually there with you. I have Matthias winning the fight. No disrespect to Royval. That guy in his last 5, his 2 losses are to Moreno and Pantoja. Those are his last 2 losses. And after that, he beat Kai Kara France before those 2. The guy's is a monster.
And that fight was great because obviously them 2 was just going back and forth in that first round.
So he's obviously a dangerous fighter. But this fight should be on the main card. It's kind of a drop the ball moment for them. Yeah, sure. AJ, hey man, we covered a lot of information. We got through the fights. We touched on last weekend's excellence. We've got our top 185 pounders of all time out there. What else you got, man, for this week? Anything?
One last thing, and this is going to be a question for you, bro. Fair or foul? Is he going at Alex's son?
His son.
Is it fair or foul? For me, it's fair game.
For
me, it's fair game.
I'll say it's fair. I mean, also you got to think the kid was 5 when he did it, but I don't know. I like the level of petty, so I'm just gonna say fair. It was fun. It was a funny moment. I mean, so I'll say fair. It just I don't know. Izzy's kind of a big kid at his anyway, so I'm not like it. I don't think it'd take it the same way. So yeah, I'll say fair. I'll say fair. It was funny in the moment for sure. You just put 3 arrows in his dad's chest, and then he. Oh. Yeah, no, I'm with it. I'm with it. AJ, don't forget, everybody, like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. We'll get our picks out for the weekend. Everybody have a safe weekend. Enjoy the fights. AJ, I will talk to you later, man. Great job today. And we'll see you guys next time.